I kind of miss the old days of hi-fi, when speaker and furniture design were more closely aligned. Well, Wharfedale has revived this concept with a modern interpretation of one of their classic designs with the LINTON Heritage speakers and stands. Now, the Heritage certainly have a classic look with hand-veneered cabinets and matching metal stands, which offer matching wood accents. Everything is just solid, functional, and even beautiful in an understated way. Now, they're a three-way design with an 8-inch Kevlar woofer, a 5-inch Kevlar mid-range, and a 1-inch textile dome tweeter. That woofer plus its pair of rear ports help the Lintons dig down to 40 hertz with high-quality bass that might make you happy even without a subwoofer. Now, the matching stands are a nice fusion of function and form. They're solid and heavy to minimize vibration, yet look good enough to fit the decor in any home. Rubber feet decouple the speaker from the metal top of the stand, and a set of carpet spikes and discs decouple the stand from your floor. Plus, they provide the perfect storage space for your favorite records. Now, these are 6-ohm speakers, so it's wise to make sure your amp or receiver can play speakers with a lower impedance design. They're also fairly efficient, so they don't really need a ton of power to sound great. When I plug them in at home, my 40-watt NAD amp drove them easily. And they're rated for a maximum of 100 watts, so they'll be happy with a range of amps and receivers. I found the Lintons easy to get to know. Now, my setup is based around streaming, particularly Tidal Connect. And I'm a child of the mixtape era, so I just started jumping around one of my playlists, throwing out a wide gauntlet of musical genres to see how the speakers handled them. Right away, one thing became apparent. The Linton sound signature is easy to love. It's smooth, detailed, and laid back, and easy to listen to all day. I was especially impressed with the stereo separation. I could pick out different instruments in the mix, and not just left to right. The Lintons offer up a nice sense of depth that feels almost three-dimensional with certain recordings. I was also impressed with the bass. I ended up turning off the subwoofer I normally employ in my listening setup. The Lintons don't hit you in the chest with bass like a subwoofer can, but the quality of the bass they put out is very pleasing. There's a lot of definition there. PJ Harvey's track Down by the Water on her 1996 album To Bring You My Love really stood out because there's a section toward the end with a lot of layered bass accompanied by whispered vocals, and that can sound muddy with some speakers. But the Lintons handled that challenge well, making it easy to pick out the vocals among the nuanced bass. After hearing how great that song sounded, I went straight to Massive Attack. I love their album Mezzanine. The track Man Next Door has bass that can become overpowering with my sub engaged, but with it switched off, the Lintons really shined. The bass was round and beautiful. Then it was time for some AC/DC. I've been a fan since I was a kid and went to my first big concert to see them way back in 1991. They're a guitar-forward band, and what I love about a nice stereo soundstage is being able to identify Malcolm and Angus Young's guitar parts. Malcolm is the left channel rhythm, cranking out iconic riffs with heavy strings on a Gretsch guitar with a throaty bridge pickup, while his brother plays lead on a Gibson SG. Jailbreak is one of my favorite AC/DC songs. It's an older song with their original lead singer and showcases the absolute simplicity of tone both brothers brought to the band. The song starts out entirely in the left channel, with Malcolm grinding out the main riff on his single pickup guitar, with his Marshall tube amp pushed gently, cutting through the mix by simple force of his right wrist. Listening to the song on the Lintons reminded me of seeing them live, where he'd stand in front of his amp stack, stage left, back with the bass and drums, a level behind the front of the stage, where his duck-walking guitar hero brother and lead singer Brian Johnson would provide the entertainment. Malcolm wrote most of the songs and would just muscle through their set with metronome-like precision. That's when I really started to love these speakers. Their soundstage is exceptional, with a real depth that can make you forget you're listening to speakers at all, and in my case, bring up some nice old memories. So, after reminiscing a bit, naturally it was time to listen to some hip-hop. Clockwork by Roots Manuva off his album Brand New Secondhand has a bass line that can really expose bass-hungry speakers. The first time I heard that song was in someone's pickup truck, and the factory speakers were really struggling. The Lintons, though, let the vocal flow stand out with a really nice mix of bass, mids, and treble, without struggling with the bass. Next, I threw on Systematic by DJ Shadow and Nas from Shadow's EP, The Mountain Has Fallen. It's got a similar deep bass hit as the Roots Maneuver track, but on top of that, it employs a fuzz synth bass that occupies the mid bass region. Now, I've heard this track on many a small speaker where the definition gets lost between the low and mid bass. Unsurprisingly, the Lintons handled this well, with clear separation between the parts. So, after hopping around various playlists for a while, I realized I'd been listening for 2 hours. I mean, the Lintons just don't wear you out. They're laid back and don't pummel you with fatiguing treble. They had achieved for me what is the end game of speakers. You forget they're there, and just allow yourself to get lost in the music. But wait, didn't Wharfedale also come out with the Super Linton, which takes these modern Lintons and refines them even further? Why wouldn't I just get those? That's a fair question. But after spending time with the LINTON Heritage speakers at home, I started asking myself, why wouldn't I just get these and put the $1,000 I saved into my record collection? Now, I really like the Super Lintons too, and got to listen to them when we had them in our studio for a video review. They are outstanding speakers that do everything these Lintons can do, just a tiny bit better. You can learn all about them by watching our video, which I'd encourage you to do if you're choosing between the two. You can also audition the Lintons head-to-head with other popular speakers using our online Speaker Compare tool, which lets you listen to speakers at home while wearing a pair of wired headphones. I came away impressed by the Linton Heritage speakers. The soundstage they create is just so engaging. If you have any questions about them or about anything else, get in touch with us here at Crutchfield. Thank you for watching and happy listening.